also here. Hi Ayush, I hope you are well. Nishant, Lakshmi, Kiran. Hi everyone. So as you know already, the topic today's topic is scoring how to score 99 plus percentile in JEE Mains Physics, right? So the topic that we are going to discuss is not going to be only helpful for physics, but it is going to be helpful for any studies you do, whether you are doing it right now for all other subjects and also for the further studies that you are going to do. It is going to be a generic and general discussion, and also we will be talking about some specific issues on the physics, right? Hi everyone. Is sound low? Nishant is saying the sound is low. Let me make it high. Then you can comment and tell me that sound is right or not. Is sound right? Please tell me in the comments that the sound is okay or not. Yes, Sevak, we are coming to that. Sevak, we are just coming to that how we are going to score 99 plus percentile in JEE Mains, right? Specifically in JEE Mains Physics, right? Lakshmi, sound is perfect right now. Okay. Okay, so let us begin. So let us begin with the idea of what kind of students, score 99 plus percentile, or what does it simply take. Let me let me ask you one simple question, that what does it take to get 99 plus percentile in JEE Main, right? Can you guys answer me? What does it take? Whatever comes to your mind, you can answer it. Geeta, is sound still not high enough? Is sound still not right? I can make it even louder.
Hi, sir. So I think the sound is now perfect. The students can hear us very well.
Okay, okay, okay. So some of you are already starting to answer that a high IQ is required, right? Okay, some of you are answering that desire is uh, required, right? So desire, aim, goal, or whatever, right? Okay, so let me give you some idea that we think of, right? So one thing that we think of, that if somebody has to score 99 plus percentile, one must get one must be studying for long hours, right? 8 plus 10 plus hours study is required, right? So one thing that comes to our mind for scoring such a high percentile is that you must study very long, right? And what should be the other? Okay, Ritika, sacrifices and dedication. Lakshmi is saying logic application. You guys are all correct. Let me give you one more thing that is required. Sometimes we think that is required is very high IQ, right? Very high IQ is required for scoring 99 plus percentile, right? And also, some of us will be tempted to think that if one has to score such high percentile, one must have a head start. What do I mean by a head start? You all know that some people start, taking coaching classes and all for JEE even before the 11th classes. They join in class 9th, class 10th, and in times uh, in now's time, people also start joining in class 7th, 8th also, right? So they already get a head start for facing such difficult exam, right? So how many of you actually think that these are the qualities that you must have? These are the things that you must have to score 99 plus percentile. Is it a must? How many of you actually think these are the things that you must have to score 99 plus percentile? Okay, Sevak is saying I joined in class 11th only. So Sevak, do you think that you are late? Okay, so let me, debunk your all the myths, because in the last 10 years of my experience, what I have seen that most of the 99 plus percentile, scorers are not necessarily having all of these things. Even most of the students I know that have scored 99 plus percentile did not do any of these things. Actually, they did not study for long hours. I know for personal experience, I know them, and I know that they did not study more than 4 5 6 hours daily. They did not study like 10 hours a day. They did not had a very high IQ, and most of them started in class 11th, and I know some of the students who have scored 99 plus percentile while starting to you prepare for JE in class 12th. So some of the students are here in this chat also, that they know their friends have done it in 1 year of preparation, 99 plus percentile, right? Okay, so these all things are helpful, very helpful. If you have a very high IQ, this is going to certainly help you. If you are studying for long hours, if you are studying very hard, surely this is going to help you. If you have a head start, surely this is going to help you. But this is not a necessary condition, right? It is not essential that you do all of these things to score 99 plus percentile in JEE mains. So what does it take? What is a systemic way to get 99 plus percentile? So let me take you to these, right? So your objective is 99 plus percentile, right? Sevak is asking, sir, can you answer me why I'm not able to do problems, but all concepts is clear? Sevak, let us be patient enough, and you know uh, be be at the whole presentation. I'll be covering all of your doubts. Why we are not able to solve problems and everything else. So let us you know go methodologically, and one by one we'll be covering each and every topic, right? Shayam, good morning. Okay, so let us come to the 99 plus percentiles pedigree. What does it need, right? First thing that you need is a plan. You must have heard it. If you don't have a plan, or simply if you fail to plan it, you are planning to fail, right? If you don't have any plan, certainly you are going to fail, right? So you must have a plan, right? So one thing, for any kind of things you do in your life, be it any exam, be it any work you do, be it any job or anything, if you want to do anything good, you must have a plan, right? So how many of you actually agree with this, that you must have a plan? Do you know anyone who have scored 99 plus percentile who did not have a plan, just joined a coaching and scored 99 plus percentile? Does it happen? Yes, Shraddha, we will be coming to the how do we plan and all. We are just coming to that. So let us first briefly understand what does it take to score 99 plus percentile, right? So the first thing is plan. The second thing is what? Practice. You all must be very aware of the fruitfulness of practice. You all know many things, that practice is why practice is so essential, right? Right. So practice is very obvious. You must practice, whether it's problem solving, whether it's learning new things. You must practice very hard, and we'll be covering do we how are we going to do about practice, how are we going to practice for JEE means, right? So we'll be covering all those, but we are briefly taking these points, right? So third point, what is the third point? That is consistency, right? Even if you practice, even if you study hard, if you study hard for like let's say 10 days and you skip next 5 days, roaming around, not studying, not attending coaching classes or whatever classes you have taken, right? So these things are going to backfire, right? So all your hard work and practice gets washed away if you're not consistent. If you are studying for 3 hours daily, you must study somewhat around 3 hours daily. Not like you are studying 10 hours 3 day and then next 10 days you are not studying at all. So you must be very consistent. Neeraj will be covering all those. Neeraj is asking that in the rest of days how are we going to crack IIT, right? So let us be patient and let us be here, and we all will be covering each and every point, right? Yes, Deepak will be covering all these things. Okay, so the last thing thing I think is very necessary for 99 plus percentile is test taking. Ultimately, we are talking about a test. We are talking about getting 99 plus percentile in a test. So what you are preparing for is ultimately a test. So you must be very proficient in test taking. And test taking and knowledge are sometimes different. Sometimes people have so much knowledge, they know everything, but in the test they do not score well, right? You all must be knowing that. Either it may be you or your friend, you know some case or another where you know that the guy knows the answers, but in the exam paper somehow he's missed it, right? So that happens a lot. So test taking is not like you will not prepare the whole year and in the last, in the exam itself you will be taking a test. Test taking must be an a chapter in your life. While studying, test taking should be mandatory for all the chapters, all the concepts, whatever you are learning. You must be going through a phase where you are taking a test for that concept, maybe a chapter or something like that, right? Yes, Ayush, I know. So test taking is very important, and I always advise students to start you know uh, become serious about test taking well in advance, not in the last phases of study, right? So these are the four ingredients that is essential for scoring high in any kind of exams: plan, practice, consistency, and testing, right? Okay, so let me come to you how we are going to plan our studies, right? So now one by one we will be covering one by one we'll be covering the plan phase. How are we going to plan our studies, right? The first and the most essential, one of the most essential part of the plan is how are we going to make our timetable or study timetable, right? So how many of you really think that making timetable is important? How many of you actually think that timetable is important, or we should just go along with the whatever the coaching says, whatever the school says, whatever the whatever the all of your friends are doing? How essential is timetable? Should we be making timetables on our own, or we should be following a standardized timetable given by our schools, coachings and all? Yes, Dipesh, what you are telling is also a sort of timetable. Dipesh is saying that we should set weekly goals, right? Okay, so let me come to kind of timetables is good timetable for you, and what kind of timetables are actually stressful for you. So most of the students I see that when they get to make their timetable, what they do that they divide each and every hours of the day, and when they start making the timetable, they'll make timetables that will make them study for 10 hours. Like there is no time in between, and every hour is fixed. Like on the Tuesday the 21st, they'll be studying physics between you know 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Such kind of timetables is not necessary. What I am going to tell you about making timetable is timetable. You make timetable based on your goals. When is the exam? What kind of subjects? How many chapters you have covered? How many of you have not covered? That is why I'm telling you that your timetable should be your timetable. The other student is maybe covered three or four more chapters than you. Okay, so his or her timetable will be different. Your timetable should reflect what level you are, when is the exam, and things like that. So based on how many things you have to cover, how much you have to cover, you make timetable based on that, so that you can always see that I am clear to my goal. But never make very exhaustive timetable, right? Never make a timetable which dictates you to study physics between 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Just make a tentative timetable that in this day I will be studying this much hour, or by the end of this week I'll be completing this concept for sure, so that you have a certainty that what I have to study. But you do not have such pressure that if you fail 1 or 2 or 3 days, what happens with the exhaustive timetable, that you often start failing, right? Manisha, is there no sound stick? Okay. Are you guys able to listen to me? Sound is fine, right? Okay. So Dhruva is asking how many hours will I read daily for JEE? Koteshwara, is sound very low? I Many of the students are saying sound is okay. Yes, Prathamesh. Prathamesh is asking, sir, what if syllabus is lagging behind? That is what happens with most of the student most of the time, right? So you must make amends with what, how much syllabus you have to cover, right? So we are just covering all the parts, and every dot will be connected if you are, live all the time, right? If you listen to all this whole webinar, you'll come to know how we are going to make a timetable based on how much chapters, how much concepts are there. And if there is some concepts or some chapters that you have not covered and you are lagging, then you have to make a decision based on if this chapter is required in the further chapters or not. In case of physics, let's take a case of physics where let's say if you have not studied work power energy, right, and you want to move ahead, so that you cannot do, in the mechanics part. Everything is very sequential. If you do not do laws of motion well, you are not going to do rotational motion well, as well, right? You won't be able to do work power energy also if you are not good with Newton's laws of motion. So for the chapters of mechanics, what I advise, that you should not be lagging in the initial chapters, right? Your initial foundation till work power energy must be okay. If you have left some parts of rotational dynamics, that is okay, especially for the JE main. What happens that rotational mechanics is a very long, lengthy and difficult chapter. So if some part of the rotational motion, let us say collision between two objects, where one object is not a point object, right? I'm talking about one when a ball collides with a rod or something like that. So these kind of questions, if you find them very difficult, you can leave them. You can just be aware of the basic concepts, and you can leave some part of the difficult things, right? But you cannot leave the work power energy, you cannot leave the Newton's laws of motion, because they are essential for the next chapters also. So while making the timetable, you'll have to take consideration of all these things. You should also be, if you find any problems, if you face any problems, what you need to do is to consult your teacher, your mentor, whoever he is, right? You should be asking them, what should I do, right? Sevak, Sevak is asking one very pertinent question, right? Sir, why does it happen again and again, even after realizing we give up consistency? We will be covering that. Let me briefly answer you about this. That most of the time we do not remain consistent. The biggest reason is that we commit ourselves so much. We think that we are going to do this much, and this much is very high, and since this is very high, we are not able to accomplish this. And our minds is like that, if we do not accomplish anything for longer duration, what our mind tells, that leave this altogether, and we do not worry about it, right? So this is why we do not remain consistent. So what is the remedy for that? The remedy for that is that you make yourself small promises, that I will just study this much, whatever the results be, I will just study this much. I will not decide on whether I am able to solve the problems or not. I will just do that. Simple promise to yourself. And fulfilling this promise is going to be simpler than saying that I will master this chapter, that I will top the exam in this chapter. This is going to be difficult. This will happen, but after some time. So you give yourself small goals that you can achieve initially. That is how you should start, right? Okay. Sangeeta is asking how to clear JEE mains in 50 days. So the topic of discussion is obviously scoring 99 plus percentile, but it's pertinent to scoring more. The idea behind is to score more. What you can do, you should be able to do that, right? So these all things that I'm discussing is going to help you. Just be with me all the time, right? So next thing in the plan, let's discuss what is going to be the next thing in our plan. That is weightage based study plan, right? Weightage based study plan. What do I mean by weightage based study plan, right? So if I would be doing this same webinar for JEE Advanced, my advice will be somewhat different. that how many hours or how much time or how much effort you should be putting on this chapter, right? What happens in JEE means that most of the chapters get some representation in the questions, right? So even the smaller and simpler chapters questions are asked from them, right? And some chapters in the physics are very long and difficult also. Let's take the case of rotational mechanics in the class 11th chap uh, syllabus, and electromagnetism, or electrostatics chapter in the class 12. These two chapters are very long. It can be difficult. Some parts of them are difficult also, but in proportion of how much you have to study, the questions asked them from are not that much, right? So what you should be studying is like, if there is a small chapter and one or two questions are going to ask from there, right, you must study them as well. Even if your coaching misses out them on them, even in your coaching only 2 days are given to those chapters, because these are small, you do not have to leave them, because these are going to be scoring chapters. So you should be studying according to the weightage. And how do we get to know what is the weightage, right? So for the weightage you must have a book or something. You can find many books in the market and on the internet also, where you can get the last 10 20 years of questions, J main question, chapter wise, right? So just based on how many questions are asked from the chapter, you can get to know about the idea that what is going to be the weightage of this chapter. Also, not just the chapters, but also what kind of questions are asked from those chapters, right? From some of the chapters the questions are going to be easier, right? Let's take a case of um, wave, right? So as compared to SHM, as compared to, let's say, rotational mechanics or momentum conservation thing, the the questions from the wave chapters are going to be simpler, right? On the first go it does not appear simple, but once you have practice is just enough, they are going to be simpler and they are not going to pose much difficulty. So you should cover all those chapters which are very scoring first, right? And according to the number of questions asked from them, you should make your timetable, right? So some of you are asking, sir, how many problems to solve? Okay, so there is no fixed number for each of you. For each of you, these might vary. Your level of preparation might be different, but I would say that you should be, doing at least 5 to 10 questions based on every concept. What do I mean by every concept? Let's take an example of, you know, work power energy, and work done by a constant force is a concept. So work done by, based on this just one concept, work done by constant force, you should be doing 5 8 problems, like 2 or 3 solved problems that you see, and 5 7 problems on your own. And after completing each and every chapter, you should be giving a test also, right? You can take any test from the market. There are many sites from the test taking. We at the Careers 360 also provide you chapter wise, concept wise test and all that you can avail, right? Lakshmi is asking, is HC Verma good? Yes, HC Verma book is very good book. Be it for mains, be it for advanced, this is a very good book. What if you are studying for mains, you should leave the last 10 20 questions in the subjective part. The objective 1 and objective 2 are excellent uh, problems for JEE mains as well as NEET also, right? Okay, let us move on to the next thing, that is going to be our study order. And that is, these are the things that I am sure all of you know that, but it needs reminding. There are many things we all know that these are the good things, these are the bad things, but still we fall into trap. That is why we need ourselves constant reminders, right? So in between, after sometimes you need a reminder, you need someone to tell you that what you are doing is not good or what you are doing is good. So let us talk about the study order, right? So in the study order, what I advise you to how to study is, first, let's say you have a lecture tomorrow of magnetism, right? So what you should do, you should first study the chapter from the NCRT or any textbook you follow. I would advise you to study first from NCRT. It could be any book based on your likings, based on your level of preparation, whatever you have done in the previous chapters and all. But you should first read from any reliable source. I would advise you NCRT, but it could be anything that you like. But first you should study or make a light casual reading of it before going to lecture. Most of the time what I have experienced in my classes also, that many students do not come even lightly prepared for the lectures. Even if you are going to so I've shown you these five things for your study order. And what I have seen in my experience, that students who fail a lot, who have not able to accomplish good marks, they give so much time on lectures, right? They give so much time on their lectures. If they're studying for 5 6 total hours, they'll be giving 2 or 3 hours to the lectures, be it in the classroom lectures, be it in the online lectures on the YouTube. There are so many lectures freely available everywhere, so there is no shortage of that. What we do, what generally students do, that we do so much time on lectures, and that is not advisable. You should distribute your time between these things. So first you should casually lightly read on any chapter that you are going to prepare. Second, you go to the lectures, be it the online lectures from YouTube, from any app you have subscribed. You can subscribe to us, you can avail these kind of things from anywhere, right? Also, then move on to the solved examples from any coaching material, any good material, right? So the quality of this solved example should be good, right? You can take any book, right? Let us talk about the HC Verma book. You can take any proper good book, and you should be doing solved example. How you should be doing solved example? Just do not directly jump onto the solution. First, read the questions properly. Try to do it on your own. Just do not give yourself too much time, right? Just take your 2 minute 3 minute and try to do that. And if you're not able to do that, see the solution step by step. Do not see the solution in one go completely. Cover the book, cover the solution part of the book. uh, Pizza is saying that audio is not working. Students, if you face any problem with the audio or video, just let me know in the comments so that I can fix it as soon. Okay, Pizza is saying the audio is low, but most of the students are saying it is okay. You can plug onto any headphone, right? Okay. If there is any audio problem, you can plug into a headphone, right? So we have covered three parts here: the reading, the lecture, the solved example, and the practice problems, right? So next, sorry, we did not cover the practice problem. So after doing the solved examples, you should move on to the practice problems, right? Just like in the books, in the last section, we are given problems based on levels, that level one problem, level two problem, and you should do these problems concept wise, right? And these are also advised by classroom teachers as well, that a classroom teacher will be teaching you this much, so the questions they taught you is kind of a solved example for you. They give you some time to solve and then they solve it, right? So this is the classic case of solved example. These solved examples are generally very high quality problems that you should mark it for revision also, right? The next kind of problems you should be taking, you can take problems from the coaching material, from any standard book, HC Verma, DC Pandey. These are the books that I recommend, right? It could be anything. There are so many good books also, but you should take the books whose all the problems you can solve, right? There are so many books in the market in which there are so many problems in a chapter and you cannot do it on your right. So do not choose such kind of books which have like thousands of problem, right? Nobody is going to do all of the problems. Like, you do not have to solve similar problems again and again, right? uh Aarti is asking, is previous paper important? Yes, previous year papers are very important. These are very important, right? And one essential part of the plan is also revision, right? So how are we going to do our revision? Okay, so in this slide I have tried to show you the kind of revision plan most of us actually have, right? So this is the kind of revision most of us are doing, that when we study and we try to make what are the things that we are going to revise, we all find that everything is important. That is not the case. That is not the case. Most of the things are going to be very repetitive. So these are not the kind of things that you should be worrying about. There are some things that are going to be lost, because if you see the retention curve here, memory retention curve, you can see from this diagram here, right? Let me take a pointer here, right? You can see from the diagram that most of the new things that we study are going to get lost. 55 something percent are going to lost in just 9 hours, right? So if you are studying anything new, that you should be aware of, that you have to make a revision in very less time, like 24 hours, 8 12 hours, something like that. So what is going to be the modulus operandi for that kind of revision? We should be revising daily. How much we should be revising? The same thing that you have been taught in the classroom. Let's say you have a classroom today, you have taken a class in the morning or maybe evening, and you are just going to read in the night, that you are studying in the night. What you do, just if you have a 2 hours or 1.5 hours lectures, you just revise all the content of the lecture in just 5 to 10 minutes, not more than that. And how should you revise? Not by rereading the your notes. not opening and flipping through the pages of the note, not like that. You should cover the pages of your notes with your palm and try to think what was there, and try to think that what kind of things were there, what did I write here, and what was the concepts that was taught, right? Okay, so this method of revision is called active recall, in which you do not reread time and again. What you do is you revise the concept, right? On your memory, that whatever was taught first I would think, and if I do not recall it completely, I will see it then, right? And you will do it again and again, so that in the final steps you should be able to remember it all, right? Okay, so let us move on to the offerings that we have here from Careers 360, right? So we have, let me show you, let me share my screen. Right here. So if you join Careers 360 for our JEE Mains program, that is Knockout JEE Mains program, once you join it, you will be facing such this kind of a screen. So from the beginning, what you'll see that if you can follow my cursor, if you can follow my cursor here, you'll be seeing some mentor assigned to you, right? So every student will get a mentor. So you can ask about any issues that you are facing, be it any personal issue surrounding the your education, your studies, or any academic issues. You can ask the mentor, right? So that is one thing. Are you guys able to listen to me? Hello guys, are you guys able to listen to me? Because I'm not seeing any comments, right? Can anyone you know write anything in the comment box so that I know that I'm audible? Okay, moving on to the next part of this program, we have a thing called Learn with AI Coach, right? Learn with AI. And what does AI means? AI means artificial intelligence. What does it do? When you are studying, it knows about your habit, it knows about your requirement, and based on how you are studying, how you are solving questions, right? If you are solving a kind of questions in, let's say, less than 20 seconds, 30 seconds, that it knows that you should be given more difficult problems, newer problems, right? So based on your abilities, your capabilities, the AI coach makes new path for your studies, right? So let us say that we are studying with Learn with AI coach. What will we counter, right? So let us take a case of electrostatics, chapter electrostatics. So if you are going to study chapter electrostatics, these are the kind of things that you will see. First, this is a solution. Let me show you a problem. Once you start with a concept, so we have broken down a chapter into concepts, right? So let's say a particular micro concepts start, right? Let's say this is the concept, electric flux through cone or a disk. This is a simple concept, right? So you'll be faced with one video, well, where the proof and derivation all will be given. After you have studied this, we'll move back to the next problem. And just like I've shown you the proper way to solve the problems and learn, right? So the next thing that you'll see is going to be a solved example, right? This is an example. You are given with a question along with the solution, right? You are just advised to not look at the solution first, but you can do that. That solution is given along with the problem itself. This is a case of example, right? Solved illustration. Next, you will be given a problem, one problem, two problem, three problem. That will depend upon the weightage of that particular concept, right? If the concept is very necessary, you'll be given more problems so that you master it. Yeah, right. So you'll be given problems like that, you can solve them. And if you have taken any option, there can be two outcomes, obviously. One outcome could be you have solved it correctly, one you have not solved it correctly. You will be given then three options. If you did in this case I have solved it, I have take the correct alternative. Even then it is giving me three options that I can see the solution, I can revise the concept, I can move back to the next concept also, since I have solved it correctly. If I did not have solved it correctly, I would not be given this option that take me to the next concept, right? The take me to the next concept is only because I have solved it correctly, right? So next is the solution, right? And these options that I take are going to take me to different paths based on different student. This will be every different students will be getting different parts based on how many questions you are solving correctly or incorrectly, how much time you are taking, and things like that. So this is one thing, right? So let me go to the main page. So based on, you can see the from the chapter wise, you can take the chapter wise view also, that how much you have studied. The next part that I was talking about, in the plan section, was making a timetable. And sometimes making timetables is tedious because you do not know what follows. You do not know that the next chapter is going to be easier or difficult. So assigning it how time is going to be difficult. Either you're going to take the help of your teacher, and with this program what we have provided you, that this artificial intelligence based, you know uh, this scheduling is done for you, customize scheduling is done for you. How can I customize, make a customized timetable? Let me click here. So let us take, I have to make a schedule or timetable for myself. And let us say I have already solved some I have already completed some chapters. So these are the chapters: physics and measurement, kinematics, laws of motion. Let's say these are the chapters I have done. Let's say in the chemistry I have also done these chapters, right? Initial chapters I have done, right? And now if I submit my preferences here, I'll be given a customized timetable like this, that on Sunday I should be studying these three chapters, right? On Monday I should be studying these chapters. And this artificial intelligence already knows that which chapters require how much time. Based on the weightage, it will be assigning you the timetable or the time which you should be devoting for study. It is not giving you an hour by hour kind of situation. It is just giving you an idea of on which days you should be studying this much and this much, and then you will eventually be able to complete the chapter in the given time. So you always have this idea that I'm going to finish the syllabus if I just follow this, right? So this part, and you can also download and print this timetable, so you can stick it on the wall and all, right? On the different things, we have course material which covers more than 5,000 concepts, formula, definition, and tips on each of these chapters, right? On each of these subjects, right? For the physics, chemistry, maths also. So if I see or click on any chapter, I can choose to study one single concept. Let's take a case of gravitation. If I want to study any concept on the gravitation, I can just click on this, and I will be starting with the same thing, that I will be studying whole of these, right? So I can study gravitation just from here, right? So we can choose the concept and study. And the other things that we have, one is the booster or the most asked concept, right? So these are the concepts that are frequently asked in the examinations. So you should not be missing out to them, right? You should always know what is going to be the most, uh, useful topics, that I should never ever, leave or leave it, right? You should be completing all these things. So these booster concepts are separately given to you also. So from all these chapters, you can select the most asked concept, so that at least if you have less time, so let's take a case where the student is preparing in very less time, and he or she has to score well. So what you can do is, you can revise at least these parts, because these are going to be asked more in the examination. So without studying so much, you can do better in the exam with the help of these booster concepts, that they are designed based on the last 20-30 years problems that have come from the concepts, and those concepts which are being repeated in the JEE examinations are given here, right? And then the other thing, let's say you want to master a chapter, right? So what you will do, you will first study the chapter completely. Then your priority should be to master at least the booster concept, right? The concepts which are going to be asked more. But let's say you want to score very high in particular chapter. So what is going to be the most difficult part of the chapter is given here, right? So these are going to be the most difficult concepts, and you can study them separately, because these concepts need more revision, more effort to master. So if you have good enough time, you can do these things separately, and by doing just the booster concept, I will be scoring this much or a decent marks. But if you want to score very high, you can do this separately on your choice, right? That from the rotational mechanics difficult concept, I'm just going to leave it. But on the work power energy difficult concepts, I'm not going to leave it. I'm going to cover the even the difficult part of the one chapter, and I'm going to leave the difficult part of the another chapter, that you can do based on this separately given concept, right? Okay. Other than that, we have I told you about the plan strategy, that while planning, what you can do is, you can solve more and more problems to master a concept or a chapter. So you can solve so many problems here. In each chapter there are 20,000 plus questions, and these are given chapter wise, right? In each subject there are more than 20,000 plus problems, and they are very pertinent, you know chosen questions that are going to be very helpful for your studies. And you can choose a chapter and solve the problems based on the chapter, right? Also, just to get you an idea of what kind of paper JEE Mains is, you can see the previous year JEE Mains solved question, right? So you not only have the questions of the previous year of JEE Main, you also have the solutions of those two, right? So you can see these from here, right? Also, if you want to take tests, just like I told you, one of the most important thing for scoring 99 plus percentile in JEE is taking tests, right? So you can take test in subject wise, you can take chapter wise test, you can take subject wise test, and also if you are in the last stages of your preparation, you can take full mock test. It will be just like the original JEE main test. It will have the same kind of infrastructure, online, everything, and it will be replicable. I mean, just like the mains JEE mains question, right? So you can take these three kind of tests also. And also if you're taking any test and all, you will be given an analysis of these tests. How have you done based on the concepts, based on the chapters, right? And also if you find any part of the studies that you are doing from the this JEE mains knockout JEE mains or learn with the AI product, you can, if you are facing any difficulty, you can just immediately go to the chat section. Here is the chat section. Let's say I want to raise, I have a doubt in the physics, so I will be just clicking it, and here you can see all the doubts that the students have given us, right? So you can just click a photo and send us the photo of the question that you want the solution of, and our experts will give you the solutions and clear your doubt, right? So this is the chat facility that is given to you, right? So this is going to be the complete overview of the Learn with AI product. I hope you will find this useful for your JEE mains preparation, and I hope you all do well in the exam and study hard for that. So we are going to close our session. If you have any last minute questions, you can ask in the comment. Otherwise, we are through with this. Okay. Thank you all.